Hello. Okay, first of all, we're gonna do a life update. You know, I don't talk a whole lot about what's going on in my world. I mostly just focus on HA and how to help you get your period back, but it just feels right today to share a little bit about what's going on. And I am currently in my new office. We moved house about 2 weeks ago and life has been really, really crazy. So I'm in my new office, but I'm not ready to actually like film there because as you can see, the wall, the color, the patching, it's not up to snuff. But I do have this amazing balcony now that like, anyway, you know, I'm not gonna do a full tour, but I'm sitting in front of it to get the natural light while we figure this whole, how am I gonna set up my new studio situation? But yeah, I'm really pumped. Other cool things, other cool life update things. Ashley and I are currently working on the January version of Restore, which is so labor intensive, but it's important. It's super important to us. We sat down and we're like, what is the most effective thing for our members, right? And we're like, well, for you, for women. And we were going back and forth. We're like, oh, is it a one-on-one coaching because this individual piece is so important? Or is it actually like, do we double down on the HA Society and the community piece? Because these group calls and women connecting with other women is where a ton of progress is made. And we just couldn't figure out like what's the thing that's going to serve women the most, especially also just because of like accessibility to one-on-one coaching isn't for everyone. And a lot of people also just, they want to DIY their recovery, like, and that's totally reasonable. So we realized that what it looks like to the perfect scenario is this group program. We launched this group program for the first time, I think in like August. And so far we're still going. It's a 10-week program, but it's awesome. That was the beta group and we've been playing with it, you know, how's it going? Is this working? Is that working? And yes, all of it is working. We created a full 10-week syllabus, essentially to take women from point A to B with like, okay, here's why you have HA. Here's how to figure out your specific angle, like what's going on with you. Here's how to work through the mental roadblocks around nutrition, around exercise, around lifestyle, around like perfectionism, let's be real. And here's all of the actual stuff you need to know to effectively implement and create your own protocol. And along the way, we've been doing these food reviews, right? So every woman has been getting her food log reviewed by us and just getting helpful feedback to make sure they're on track, to make sure they're eating enough, taking into account their personal recovery journey. And those pieces have been so impactful. And to add rocket fuel onto them for this January launch, what we're gonna do is actually implement 3 of those food reviews, one at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. And we're gonna have a few email check-in points one-on-one so that we're actually not just doing this group program, but connecting one-on-one with each member of the group. And we're going to be doing face-to-face check-ins too. So we found that the most effective part of our one-on-one coaching is that piece where we're face-to-face and we're talking about you specifically and what your situation is and what your challenges are. And so we've added that into the program, right? So over 10 weeks, there's group coaching classes. There's 3 food reviews to help make sure your nutrition's on point, you're on track, there's no blind spots, you're being held accountable, and email check-ins and one-on-one coaching as well. Throughout the process, you're having these multiple check-in points with us. So we're very pumped about it. It's a whole thing. It's a huge labor of love and it is everything, right? It's if you want to kind of DIY your recovery, but you want that accountability and you would like an expert second opinion on how you are doing things or how to push through something that's maybe a little harder for you to figure out on your own, this is the perfect bundle. We're so psyched about it. Okay, so that's what's going on. Ashley and I are hard at work on it, but you can get on the wait list now. Go to thehasociety.com/restore. The links are in the notes below. And then also side thing that we're working on, which is taking even longer, but is huge, is I'm not gonna give too much away because, you know, it kind of feels like a little baby that isn't ready to come out. But Ashley and I are working on an official accredited certification, right? For people who want to coach women with HA. So it's not just like creating a new industry of HA coaches. It's if you are a health and wellness coach, if you are a nurse, if you are a doctor, if you are a herbalist, an acupuncturist, this is going to be great for you. And if you are someone who wants to actually make the switch to being a health coach who specializes in HA recovery, we're working on the certification for it that's going to be accredited, and it's going to be completely all-encompassing of everything from what's going on under the women's hood, how to intake a client, how to identify the issue that's going on with them under the hood, if you will, and how to work on those soft skills and actually work on the mindset piece, right? Because the thing that we believe sets us apart as coaches is that we have that empathy and compassion piece, and we have these soft skills from years of coaching and counseling that allow us to actually work with women to implement changes, not just like, hey, you need to eat more calories, eat all this cake and cookies. Like, it's so much more complex than that at the same time. And so we're so excited to take all of our knowledge and put it into a course that actually allows other women to help other women in the exact same way. So we don't have a page up for that just yet, but you know, if you have any questions, I mean, shoot me an email or comment below. We're working hard at that. That's a huge labor of love. And that one's looking at like a March release. So just prepare your loins if that's something that you're interested in. We are making it. So that's enough about me. I'm sorry, super long-winded, but I just wanted to update you guys on what's going on in our world. But we actually have Q&As today. I have a ton of unread Q&As. Like, I'm so sorry, guys. It's taking me a while to get to them, but let's dive in. This one is from Sauris. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong. Last few weeks, I've been eating like 400 calories a day. And before that, I was losing weight slowly on 1200 calories-ish. The past few days, I've eaten better, 800 to 1500. Recovering from anorexia, realized I went too far. I missed my period the last 2 months and want to get it back. How can I do that? How much should I eat? Should I increase my diet slowly, as I don't want to gain a lot of weight or eat like 2000 calories for a week? So this is an interesting one, right? Where there's a bunch of you who are like, are you new here? Like, you know, basically she's saying, I'm deep in this and all the classic stuff, and I'm willing to admit it. I don't want to eat a lot of calories and I don't want to gain a lot of weight. How do I do this? And so there are people out there, maybe this is like their first day, you know what, like looking into recovery. The question here is, how can I increase my food intake and get my period back without gaining weight or eating 2000 calories? The answer is you can't, right? So like, here's the harsh reality, that the truth for you, it's not even harsh, it's just like wonderful. There is no answer, and I can't give you some like cool strategy for slowly building it up to the point that you're still in a calorie deficit, but you're somehow still sending a signal to your brain that you're safe and you're eating enough. Like, the two don't mesh. It's not a real thing. So unfortunately, you're gonna have to do some much deeper mental and emotional work to come to terms with the fact that weight gain is best for you. And you have two contradicting goals here, right? I know I have anorexia. I know I need to gain weight. I know I need to get my period back. And how can I do it without having to do any of those things? The two aren't making sense. And right now, you're in that part of your recovery where you're in denial and grieving, right? There are stages that most of us go through. Denial, anger. We begin the process, we start to grieve, you know, the life that we're leaving behind, but you know, this is what's best for you, and you can do hard things, and you're gonna have to get your body weight up, and you're gonna have to eat probably more than 2000 calories realistically. So if your fear is coming up over 1500, that's where you need to focus. You need to focus first before you can even think about period recovery. You're gonna have to rewind and think about increasing food intake and fears that you have around that. Question number 2 comes from Nikki. Hello, I hope you guys answer my DMs. Love your content, by the way, so helpful through my journey with HA. I gave birth 9 months ago. I stopped breastfeeding 3 months ago, so I know I have HA. I've been having lots of cervical mucus, still no period. It's so sticky like egg white, but my period hasn't come back. Hope you could help me with this one. Am I in the right path? What is happening? I've increased my caloric intake and been focusing on eating lots of carbs and healthy fats. I am still exercising though. So you probably have watched my video about postpartum recovery, and it's like, if it doesn't come up back after 6 weeks, you know, look into it. But I want to reiterate here that it doesn't mean that there's definitely a problem, right? Like 6 weeks is a good amount of time to just like, let me review my eating and my behaviors and just see, could that be contributing? My postpartum period, whoa, way longer than 6 weeks, way longer. And very similarly to you, Nikki, I saw tons of cervical mucus, like changing my underwear way too many times a day. Like amounts I've never seen before. There is an element of normal to that. And I'm actually gonna say that if all of your eating and exercise is in check, I wouldn't worry for another maybe 4 to 6 weeks. So see how you go. And here's the thing, right? You said you've increased your caloric intake, so that's great. Make sure it's enough, right? Are you eating, make sure it's about 700 calories per meal and having 2 snacks, right? We'll just work on balancing blood sugar here, getting enough food in frequently. That's gonna be the key, because it could be a stress thing due to all kinds of issues, right? You're a mom, so who knows? Like maybe you're working at the same time, maybe you have a lot on your plate. And those are the things that I think contribute to my period having taken a long time to come back postpartum. I just had too much on my plate, and I was doing all of Zara's meals and all of my meals, and I'm working full time, and I actually consult as well. So I had like 2 jobs. It's just too much. And so it could be a lifestyle factor, right? So just do a review. This is where I recommend my period recovery game planner. This is where it takes you through that review. It lets you sit down and it's like a checklist. Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? And it allows you to see, like in an unbiased, it's presented to you, here are all the areas where you're crushing and here are all the areas where you could do more, you know? And so I recommend that. Period recovery game planner is on my website in my store, and that will help you see if you're on the right path. And if you're saying, yeah, I'm doing most of those things, I'm crushing, you know, allow for patience, work on your stress, and just make sure you are truly eating enough, because the exercise could be the problem. And if you're exercising like 5 days a week, just bring it down, right? We don't need to be training 5 days a week, you know, at 9 months postpartum. At 9 months postpartum, 1 day, 2 days. And right now in the Restore program, we're currently going over this topic of like, well, what do we actually know is effective? What does the science show us in terms of training? There's some evidence to show us, there's a lot of evidence to show us that 2-3 days a week is plenty effective, and anything more than that is oftentimes just taking us backwards. So there's so much here. There's so many areas where we could kind of rabbit hole to see what's going on, Nikki. But those are my thoughts. Let's do one more, and then I'll save the others for another day. Hi, Danny. I just found your Instagram account and podcast, and what a miracle. Thank you. I've never had a period, not in my life. So she has primary amenorrhea, not hypothalamic amenorrhea. I am 20 years old. I had orthorexia when I was 16 and have never fully recovered. Mentally, I do consider myself recovered, but not physically, since I never got my period. I've kept ignoring this fact, continuing with my life as normal, as though not having a period were normal. It is now that my academic career is going to take me to another country, and my mom has paid attention to it. She has told me this is an issue I cannot ignore any longer. I'm 172 centimeters tall and 53 kilos. I do not know if I should first gain some weight. Honestly, I'm incredibly lost. I do not know where to start from, nor what to do. I only know that I love my body and don't want to do it harm anymore. I really want to get my period, and I am ready to do anything for it. Health goes first in life, and I do not want it to keep me from doing the things I love. Angela, I love this message. And the context is really, really helpful. Your height and weight's actually helpful for this too for me. Look, I would love to do like an actual deep dive, your whole health history, you know, see what's going on. Just have more information, right? Because like, guys, like not a doctor, full disclaimer, I can't, I'm especially not your doctor, like I can't give you specific advice. But what I can say is just generally, Angela, hearing this, knowing you have primary HA, and it sounds like a complex question in a way, but it's not, because you said I'm 172 centimeters tall and 53 kilos, and I don't know if I should gain some weight first. And it sounds like that's an intuition that you have because you've said it in the message. And 172 centimeters and 53 kilos is pretty lean. So I'm actually gonna say, yeah, I think follow your intuition. If it feels like you might need to gain weight, and you might be thinking, I'm 172 and 53 kilos, so like I'm not crazy thin. Yeah, actually, like you might be. That's pretty tall. You know, the 172, like I know that models, it's like a height requirement to be like minimum 170, right? So I know you're tall, and 53 kilos is really quite lean, right? So there's absolutely the potential to start there. Absolutely, keep it simple, start there, especially since you're saying mentally you're there. Like I've restored my relationship with food, I've restored relationship with my body. So now if you're saying I'm recovered and I don't know if I should gain weight, and I ask you, why do you not know if you should gain weight? And you think for a second and you think, because I don't want to, you're not fully recovered yet. That's the answer, right? Because if you were 100% there with your body image and your relationship with food, you would be like, okay, I'll just gain weight, right? So if you're down to just gain weight, that's 100% gonna be a great move for you with this, because primary HA and HA do have very, very similar. The only difference is you've never had a period versus having had a period in the past. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, right? Your intuition is right, gain the weight, but if you're afraid to gain the weight, then that means that there is still more mental work that needs doing to double down on that at the same time. So I may recommend that you're working with some kind of professional to help you with that if you're struggling to take action. If you're still like putting your head in the sand, like you say, and ignoring the fact, because like that's a clue too, right? We can't say, oh, I'm fully recovered and like my relationship with my body is fine, but I'm also ignoring this fact. There's a reason you're ignoring it. There's a reason. So that reason is sneaky and that reason is hiding from you. So marinate on that. Okay guys, this has been so fun. Please let me know if you have any questions. I want to hear them, right? Send me an email, send me a DM on Instagram. That's where I read most of them from. If you're interested, if you like hearing life updates and things about what we're working on, please let me know. That feedback's so helpful because I'll keep you more in the loop. There's so much going on. There's so many things I want to share with you guys, things that are important because I wouldn't have them in my life. I wouldn't be doing them if it weren't for recovery. You know, I wouldn't be fully renovating a house. I wouldn't be restoring furniture. I wouldn't be drawing. I wouldn't be building a dollhouse. I wouldn't be a mom. So if sharing, you know, those parts of life, is at all helpful to you? Because I know that in the past, my life was 100% consumed by just exercise, training, and weight loss. If it's at all inspirational to you, I want to share that. You know, so yay. If you like this episode, please subscribe to our channel. If you're listening on the podcast, please subscribe to the podcast, and I'll see you guys next week.